Are We Over Week in Review.
Welcome to the Are We Over podcast, and we are going to be talking about some of the interesting topics from this week, which this was a really busy week in wrestling, so we have a lot to talk about. And I am joined today, as usual, by the Phenom, Jimmy, the Penguin, and the Deaf Chef. And I am Kim Sparkles, and we will start with the news that WWE released a lot of people this week. And it's kind of, last year, April 15th was the day when all the releases happened. Again, this year, April 15th was another release day. And so we had Billie Kay, Peyton Royce, the Iconics were among those let go. Samoa Joe, which a lot of people had reactions to. Bo Dallas, Mickie James, Kalisto, Tucker from Heavy Machinery, and Mojo Rawley. Wow. So, Jimmy, what are your thoughts about these releases?
Well, my always when this happens, I always kind of hold off judgment until we hear, like we did last time, how many of them asked for it. Because, last time this happened, the Good Brothers, came out and said, we asked for it, so did Zack Ryder, so I'm waiting to see if any of these, was it forced or was it, were they, asked? None of them. Usually I'm upset. The one I'm most upset about is actually Billie Kay. I thought she was hilarious. Yeah. I said this last week. I really thought she had the chance to be like the R-Truth of the female division, but maybe she didn't want to do it. I mean, they're both from Australia. Maybe they're sick of being home. Peyton Royce never really took off like they hoped. Samoa Joe is past his prime. Bo Dallas doesn't want to wrestle anymore for everything we know. Mickie James.
Past his prime.
He is past his prime. Mickie James is past her prime. Kalisto, maybe he wanted something different. Kalisto used to be Hunico.
They've all Tucker been lots of different names.
I think Mojo, out of all of them, Mojo's the one that I think, they tried with him. I mean, he's real life friends with Gronk. Even with Gronk's assistance, Mojo couldn't catch on. He just couldn't do it. None of these people, with the exception of Bo Dallas actually retires, will have issues finding work somewhere else.
Right.
Samoa Joe be great in AEW. If Billie Kay and Peyton wanted to do Impact or, NWA online, especially someone like Tucker could do NWA online. Mickie James is already big in Impact. Mojo will be the most interesting one. Will AEW try to do something with him? Will he go to Impact? Zach really hasn't caught on anywhere. So that's my opinion. I want to hold off. None of them really broke my heart, but I want to see what comes out in the next few weeks about whether or not they want it to be released or not.
So for Samoa Joe, there was lots of reaction on social media about his release. Lots of talent from the industry just saying that, it was a surprise that WWE, wasted an opportunity with him. And, he's been around for a long time. He is an older guy, but he's been involved in a lot of different, he's been in different places. I mean, he could possibly do training. He was doing okay on, I thought, on commentary. So I think that there's opportunities for him if he's not wrestling. I get the impression, though, from just some videos that I watched this last week, that he still wants to make a return to wrestling. So we'll have to see where he goes. Corey, do you have thoughts on Samoa Joe?
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard one with him because we haven't seen him wrestle in so long. And I didn't know why until I heard another podcaster or somebody say that he had a lot of concussion issues, and I'd never heard anything about that. So if that played a problem in him not being able to do what he loves to do, I thought, that he was doing pretty good at commentating compared to some of what they're trying to force down our throat now. I don't know. I think he can go somewhere and do something. He's so good. He can teach, and he should probably just open his own wrestling school. I bet you Samoa Joe's wrestling school would be huge. People would pay to go there. I mean, Seth Rollins did it. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it might come out, guys. That's what Corey brought up a great point. It might come out that he wanted to wrestle, and the WWE doctors said no.
Yeah.
And maybe he was doing great on commentary, but maybe it came down to, it's like if a sports team says you're too old for our team, they're going to go somewhere else and play if he still thinks he can play. That's why I always like to. It's sad. I went to the Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view when Samoa Joe faced Brock Lesnar.
I hated that name.
And that I know, but he was so hot then. Even if it was a brief run, they should have put the belt on him. He was
one
over
time.
big time, right?
Once.
Just one time.
One time.
And they never
came
pulled
there.
the trigger. So
he came there. He didn't have to go there.
Not only do I think Samoa Joe is partly past his prime, I also think they missed the opportunity with him. And that's it could come out that he wanted to leave. We don't know yet.
Right.
That's all I'm trying to say. So
yeah. Tucker from Heavy Machinery. I've been watching a little bit on Twitter for him. His real name is Levi Cooper, and he seems to have a lot to say about his release. And he's tweeting that there's a 90-day time frame on when he's going to be able to share his side of the story. So that will be coming. And, with him, I feel like he hardly got a chance there either. I don't know if the plan was always to separate the two of them, but when they chose Otis and kind of did the singles thing with him, I think the writing was kind of on the wall for him, but he's a young guy, so hopefully he can find another place to go.
NWA on YouTube would be a perfect spot for him. Low pressure, but he does have experience with television and stuff like that. I think like pretty much every tag team there ever is, one is always better than the other, all the way back to Shawn Michaels kicking Marty Jannetty through a glass, and that's what happened. I mean, you look at Heavy Machinery when they first came up, obviously Otis is the one that stuck out. It's going to happen to the Prophets too. It happened to, remember, what was Aiden English and that other guy's tag team, with the
vaudevillians, right. Man, they were freaking cool. I like those guys.
No one even remembers that guy, because if you watch him, Aiden English is the one that stood out.
Started with G. Gotch, Simon Gotch.
Yeah.
There you go.
He named himself after a classic wrestling star, but he wasn't a Gotch at all.
Right. So it happens in 90% of all tag teams until you get someone like the Young Bucks, for example, or FTR, where neither one of them really kind of stand out over the other.
They broke up the freaking Hardy Boys again, and one of them left. Like, what's that tell you? Like,
well, it's the same
I've always
thing.
wondered what's going on there. Like, that's just.
But if you watch them from when they started to blow off, Edge was always better than Christian. Bubba Ray was always better than Devon.
I don't know. I like Devon.
Jeff was always more charismatic than Matt. You have all of them. It's a cycle of tag teams, and Tucker did not stand out as much as Otis did. I mean, it's that simple, and but yeah, something like NWA Power.
I've only caught a couple episodes. I don't.
Yeah.
That one doesn't jump out at me as much as like, I catch some Ring of Honor every now and then.
Right. But I think out of all of them, he would have the best chance of moving up the card, in a smaller one like that than Impact or especially AEW or something.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Sorry.
And then, all the name changes have happened on Twitter and social media. So they've gone from their wrestling names to their real names, which is always kind of an interesting switch. And Mojo Rawley,
except for Mickey James, she owns
that's her name, so. Man. She owns her name, yeah.
Well, Mojo Rawley seems to be positive about his exit. He tweeted, 9 years of fun, passion, and pure hype. Thank you all for getting and staying hyped with me. I love you all.
He's taking hype with him. He owns hype. He owns hype. He wouldn't be able to say it if he didn't. No bullshit.
So we'll have to see what happens to him. I was wondering if you guys have are there any surprises about people that maybe you thought might be on the list that weren't on the list?
I mean, I'm all for Randy Orton getting.
It's never gonna happen.
We're gonna talk about Randy Orton in just a minute.
I don't really know. I mean, yeah, you're always surprised. I think someone like Dana Brooke would have been a big surprise. You wouldn't have been surprised if that happened to her. I'm waiting for that time where Nikki Cross gets released, and I would be happy for Nikki because Nikki is extremely underutilized.
Oh, yeah.
And I was
really dropped the ball with her and her crazy stuff, man.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I was happy to see that Rude and Ziggler got kind of a big match on SmackDown this week. I wouldn't have been surprised if Robert Roode had gotten released. So far it's not as big as it was with the last Massacre.
Yeah. Well, Keith Lee hasn't been on for a while. People have been wondering about him. I think he has an injury. Aleister Black hasn't been on since August due to injury, but it seems like he is kind of teasing a comeback. So it's
and they need Aleister. Aleister looks different. Yeah. They need someone who looks different in that upper realm.
Yeah.
That's why I say I don't have any issue with Sami Zayn being in the top third because he looks different.
Yeah.
Like he's not in tights and coming out the pyros and stuff. I like when it's someone who looks different, and that's the thing with Aleister Black. Again, there's money on him. There's money on him. And they need to, and Keith Lee's the same way. He looks like no one. He moves like no one.
Yeah, that's a big, fast dude. He's the new Samoa Joe. Think about that. Like he kind of filled that spot, that big, fast guy. Like,
and then a couple other guys that
whoa. Don't skip over that. That was a good insight. That's perfect. Like, why do you worry about Samoa Joe when Keith Lee basically does what Samoa Joe does, minus the submission?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, that's why, except for when the doves fly out of Matt's shoes, I don't have any issues with Riddle because Riddle is different. At least that's what I always liked about Sheamus, was at least Sheamus stands out. Like he is not your average looking wrestler.
Always, no matter what.
Yeah. No, what I was going to say is a couple other people that we kind of see in the catering bits when they go backstage that are still apparently employed at WWE are Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza. Those two, since Zelina Vega left, they were kind of a little faction together with Andrade, and since she's gone, they have kind of disappeared from storyline too. So
and then what was I going to say? I think AEW is dying to get Chad Gable. I think they're dying because that's his real name, professional, an actual Olympian wrestler. I think they're dying to get him, and I think that's probably one of the reasons he hasn't been released.
That boxer, they found an Olympic boxer now. They're using. Yeah, I think you're right there.
I think AEW, day one, second one of that no compete, clause expires, Chad Gable shows up on AEW. I think they're dying to get him. And I think that's probably the reason why they haven't released him.
Yeah. Okay, so there is some news coming out that the Orton and Fiend match from WrestleMania had some last minute changes. And we talked about this at our WrestleMania wrap up and kind of how everything was not what we expected, or in my words, jank. Because of the way things worked out. But apparently there was a last minute change to the match. On Friday, the plan was for the Fiend to go over, and over the weekend, some changes were made, and Randy Orton ended up with the win, leaving the wrestlers involved confused, left the fans very confused. I felt like, it would have made sense because there was a plan, I think, for Randy Orton to take some time off. Randy Orton basically was a workhorse during the pandemic. I've seen more of Randy Orton over this last year than I think ever in a period of time since I've been watching wrestling. So
I will say that he's very consistent. He was, they could always throw him in any top part of Raw or main event. Him, The Miz, even Drew McIntyre, all worked hard. Rollins was gone, Reigns was gone for half of it, but those guys were there the whole time.
Yep.
Yeah.
And before that, he had kind of been a part-timer, so you didn't see him. When you did see him, it was kind of off and on, and he was.
That's the way everybody likes it. Less Randy Orton, the better.
Well, so we saw the aftermath of that match on Monday. Where
can we talk about, it made no sense. Is he feuding with Alexa Bliss now? Is there going to be an intergender match now?
No.
I don't get it. Who is he feuding with?
Yeah, it didn't answer any questions for sure. There was a Firefly Funhouse episode on the Monday.
And there was a Alexa Bliss Playhouse.
And there was Alexa Bliss Playhouse she had a new little character, Lily, which was almost looked like a voodoo doll.
I totally missed it. I'm sorry that I wasn't there.
You didn't miss it.
Yeah, I heard talk a little about it, but I missed nothing.
WrestleMania is supposed to be, after WrestleMania is when you set up new feuds. And who's he feuding with? Is he feuding with Alexa Bliss? It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going to happen going forward. It seems like, I was wondering if they were kind of going to join forces and Alexa Bliss was going to now kind of be in control of the Fiend, but it doesn't seem like that's
because the whole Funhouse was him saying she's gone forever, and everyone's saying we miss her, and he's like, no more ever, and maybe that'll happen, or she's going to join up with Aleister Black, which would make sense.
Oh.
Turn Bray face. Alexa and Aleister's controlling her now because she had the whole Black stuff. Might as well. Aleister's not doing anything else.
Yeah,
they would be good. They would be good matches.
Yeah,
Aleister can't talk that well, so let Alexa talk.
Yeah, there you go. WWE, listen to our podcast.
If this shit happens,
listen to our podcast.
It's all you. If it happens, it's going to be another one of those. He should be writing for them moments. That's what we'll call it. The he should be writing for them section. We'll have a whole episode just on that, brother.
You missed the whole opportunity to have Jey Uso super kick Jimmy Uso at WrestleMania.
All right, well, let's move on to another big story this week is that AEW finally had over 1 million viewers on Dynamite. They haven't had those ratings at all since the beginning. They had 1.219 million viewers and a 44% rating in the 18 to 49 demographic, which is a big deal. Of course,
15.
They were coming off of the Steve Austin Broken Skull sessions with Jericho, which I'm sure helped. NXT moving to Tuesday nights definitely helped. And they had Mike Tyson on that night. Right. So it's going to remain to be seen if they're going to be able to continue pulling the numbers that they did this week. But good for them. People have kind of said they're not going to do it. They're not going to be able to do it. They did it. They're growing. Jimmy, thoughts on the viewership?
I mean, I tuned in, so I was one of them. No, I think they'll stay. I think it'll go down. I think it'll go down a little, but it will still be barely over 1 million this week. They're going to go nothing but go up. I mean, I don't think they are. I mean, I'm not anti AEW at all, especially after the broken skulls. My problem is I haven't, outside of MJF, I still just haven't found anybody that I'm like, oh, I'm dying to see. You know what I mean?
I think they're working on that though. They're trying to build some characters. They're giving pieces to people, seeing reactions. They're doing it right. You know, they're trying to build some people. It's going to take a while. They're still brand new as far as I'm
right. The one thing, and we're going to talk about in a minute, is you watch AEW and it's like, seriously, how many factions are there? You can't keep them straight. And I tell you what the problem is that they're trying to get so many of their buddies or indie wrestlers or new talent screen time or exposure at the price of sacrificing, you know, quality entertainment, because there's so many of these faction interviews versus matches. You know, me personally, I tuned in, and one of the reasons I tuned in was Christian was going to maybe wrestle. Okay, but no, all we got was another faction come out led by Taz, wasted, 8 minutes, and then beat Christian up. When you could have come out, he could have said, my faction's here, blah, 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 and they could have had a killer match with someone. Like, there are too many factions. You can't keep them straight. You definitely can't keep all the members of the faction straight.
Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit, because this past week, the Young Bucks responded to some criticism about there being too many factions in AEW. And there was an interview with TV Insider where Nick talked about the factions, compared them to New Japan, and how New Japan has different groups all the time. They've been doing it forever, and it doesn't matter. New Japan it's a new thing America. Here for North America. But the thing that they said, and I think that I agree with this, is that when you use people in factions, it gives them more television time, and it involves more people to where you can, do several different feuds out of one faction fighting another faction, and then everybody gets more time. So, but I mean, on TV time, Corey, what do you think? Like, if you have an interview for faction, maybe you get 1 or 2 lines as each person.
But you're seeing each one of their faces the whole time. They're still there. They're still being noticed. Yeah, if they're off camera, nobody sees you. They said if you're not aligned in a group, you're alone, and that's hard to book sometimes. That's why we have a lot of factions, and it's working for them. So, talking about the factions, I've got a list of them just to tell you how many factions they have, and I'm sure this isn't even covering all of them, but they have the Dark Order, the Inner Circle, the Pinnacle, the Nightmare Family, Team Taz, Best Friends, who now Chris Statlander has joined, the Death Triangle, Jurassic Express. They had the Elite, now they have the Super Elite with the new group that they had, that was what was it called? The club or whatever. They have the Hardy family, and now they have QT Marshall's new faction. I think it's called the Factory or the Machine or something like that.
Okay, so to me, I am somebody that AEW should be trying to get to watch their show. I am a wrestling fan for life who loves the WWE, dissatisfied with the WWE, looking like I should be, but I tune in and I go, I can't keep this straight. You can't follow it. And that's the problem. You have 2 hours. You only have 2 hours, and it goes by fast. And I think there's 4 matches in 2 hours. Now, like if the WWE did that, people would be roasting it,
Is this a sign though that they just have too many people now? Are they getting to that point where they've bought too much talent? And they need to start cutting some fat too? I mean,
they're trying to get all their buddies that they've known forever on the indies, and then their buddies, and then their buddies' buddies, trying to get everybody in, and they can't. It's like when the NWO had 40 members because Hogan had a bunch of pals.
Right.
And then Hall and Nash had their favorites, and then they split them up. Really, you should just have Inner Circle, Dark Order, Pinnacle,
And
And
maybe
that's
one other face faction.
There's a few factions that I wouldn't mind see going away, but I do think that, you know, there's some people that are involved in some of the factions that I hope don't go away, and so I'm kind of glad that they are involved in the faction that kind of keeps them on. And you know, I love Jurassic Express, and you know, Jack Perry is I think that he doesn't get enough time, and at least with Jurassic Express he is on there.
He's so much better than Luchasaurus.
He's on there.
Well, I mean,
So
but can they?
Luchasaurus.
Okay, so add the second show that's 2 hours, or make Dynamite 3. Wrestling fans are already used to watching 3.
Well,
give it
the other
hours.
thing though is they have 2 other shows on. They have a Monday night show now, and they have a Tuesday night show. They're both web-based, but they have those shows as well. I don't know if it is a result of them having too many people and then just trying to keep them, or if that's their idea of kind of a developmental, which it could be that as well.
Well, you heard Jericho say you have to have network TV, you know, and if the ratings are this good, better than expected, it's a no-brainer to me to make it 3 hours. Make it 3 hours, cut down the factions. You know what? If SmackDown wasn't on Fox, which is one of the big ones, I bet it would be 3 hours. We're used to 3 hours now, you know.
Well,
but anyway,
but
but
WWE,
the question was,
WWE's 3 hours can drag on a little bit, so it would have to be quality.
Are there too many factions? The answer is yes. That's the answer. Well, that's my opinion, Corey.
Yep, Def Chef.
I don't know. There's always been factions. There's always going to be factions. So I'm your professional casual viewer, I would say. I'm in and out. Like seriously, like I've watched wrestling since I was a kid, and I've always seemed to come in and out at just the right times to pick up some stuff, but it's always been good. I'm not so keen on how many factions there are, but like at least people are getting time, you know. And I haven't watched any of the other internet shows yet for them, so I don't know how good they are. But I know they mention them, like they bring them up on, you know, right? Nobody has time, and if you do, then you're living in mama's basement still.
We should do a week. We should do a week where we all challenge each other to watch everything we possibly can for 1 week.
Maybe one person watches one watches the
no,
other, one watches
all
the
of
other.
us watch.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So
I think
even better. Watch it all live, not on DVR at all.
Yeah.
I'd have to
that would be a challenge. That would be a challenge.
I mean, we keep forgetting we don't even talk about NXT. It's not like it's a terrible product or show. It's like
and now it's on Tuesday night, where it's possible where you're
Thursday night's the only time we don't have wrestling on network television.
Yep.
When is Ring of Honor on?
It's on Saturday.
They're syndicated, so it's like here it's late Saturday night.
Yeah, Saturday night.
It's like 11. You have to like tape it, you know,
Impact,
but it's not live.
Impact is not on a network. It's on internet based as well. So
Impact's still going.
You know, that's one thing that I want to mention about the factions.
I was there right over.
What?
He got me. He's like, Impact's still going. I fell for it. I was like, yeah, of course. And I was like, oh, this guy.
No, what I wanted to say real quick about the factions is, you know, they've brought over the Good Brothers from Impact, and I feel like that's kind of almost taking away from the people that are already, you know, that are signed to AEW, because they're not signed to AEW. They're now, and yes, they're part of the faction and everything, but we've seen them involved in different, you know, matches and things like that too. So I don't know who, you know, I don't know what the long-term goal of the Impact AEW relationship is, but that I think plays a part in it. I
have a thought on that. Okay. It just reminds me of old territorial days. Like this seems to be more 70s and 80s kind of thing, where the different promotions got together. You loan out people and you send them to yours, and so it keeps it fresh. Like like there was no TV. Like the people that come and see it live are like always there, always seeing the same people. No, they got new people coming in, and they're doing it with TV too. I kind of see that it's so new because it's so old school.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks AEW is the newest thing. No, man. They're guys that come from way old school wrestling families, and they're taking it back and trying to bring that back. And I like it. That's what I like about that.
Well, speaking about old school, we have Mike Tyson, who apparently has joined the Inner Circle this week. Mike Tyson, had that feud with Chris Jericho way back in the day, and then he was on AEW a while back, feuded with Jericho again. And now all of a sudden, the Inner Circle was feuding with the Pinnacle, and Dax Harwood took what appeared to be a pretty big punch from Mike Tyson.
It was one of the best sold punches I've ever seen in wrestling.
It looked real.
Maybe he manned up and was like,
hit me.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Just like
Tyson knows how to make it look that. Tyson can get this close.
I mean, it's not a bad thing to be like, I took a punch from Mike Tyson. I mean, people were talking about it, but he was there to be the enforcer. Originally, he was kind of keeping people from using chairs and whatever else outside. So he was kind of middle of the
my question
there.
Is what's Tyson's motivation with this? Does he like wrestling? Was it money?
Oh, he's always liked wrestling. He's always been a fan. But there's got to be some more tigers he's buying.
So now he's an auxiliary member, and we'll have to see. I don't know what that means for how many, how often he's going to be on there. I don't think you're going to see him on there every week, or I don't even think every month really, but apparently he'll be back every so often and be involved in the Inner Circle. So, another way, I guess, that AEW is trying to pull in other people from outside.
And I will say, I'm a big fan of factions, big fan of stables. I love them when they're done right. Like, the Shield, I always bring up the fact that I'm one of the few people in the world that thought Nexus was amazing. Like, I have never seen a better debut of a faction in my life, even better than NWO, just out of note, because NWO had names. Nexus was nobody. You know what I mean? And these guys showed up, and I still say they dropped the ball big time on Nexus, but I'm a big fan of stables. Even like, but even with the Hurt business, like, you know what I mean? I like having them around. There's just too many of them, but Mike Tyson's good. One thing I want to talk about, if it's okay, Kimmy, is are they going to let Cesaro have a real extended long push now? Like, are they going to put him against Roman? Against Roman would be great. Cesaro's always been the best when he had someone talking for him, though. So would you rather see Cesaro challenge Reigns, or would you rather have Cesaro join Paul Heyman and have it, Heyman has another stable, you know what I mean, where he has Cesaro and Reigns as his two top guys,
Well,
but anyway, are they going to let him continue to have a push?
Well, I feel like, he did challenge Reigns this week on Raw.
Right.
I mean, he stepped up to him and basically said, he wanted a match. And instead of having the match with Reigns, he got Jimmy Uso, which,
which is classic heel. That's classic heel,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
you're not worth my time. I'll send the little dog at you.
But I do feel like eventually they're going to get a chance, but he's going to get a chance, but no way is he going to beat Roman Reigns. I mean, I feel like, he's going to have a little feud with him, and who knows how long it's going to last, but I don't feel like they're going to give a title to Cesaro. Def Chef, what are your thoughts?
If they do, it's going to be a weird twist where, like, Jimmy gets involved and screws up and accidentally kicks Roman and then falls off. It's going to be some goofy crap. They're not going to just let Cesaro win it like that, but he'll get it, he'll have it, and then Roman will get it back or something. There's my prediction. I don't know. Like it's going to be a weird, goofed up way that he gets it, but he's got to get it.
All I know is
Money in the Bank, maybe.
I just want.
I mean, something like that.
I want to see the push continue. It's time to start. Like, you can't get main event people, and that'd be a good, topic for us to discuss sometime, who are actually main event people, in the WWE. But I'd love to see. You can't be a main event person until they put you in the main event. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't too long ago, well, it was long ago. It was like 4 years ago. But Kevin Owens is a main event guy now, but you have to put him in the main event at least one time to see if he has it. And even R-Truth was in a main event of a pay-per-view. Like, why can't you put Cesaro, let him see if he can carry a main event? I mean, he definitely proved that he can work with main event people. Seth Rollins is a main event guy, and they tore the house down.
Well, in recent years, it seemed like we could possibly see a superstar shakeup that they've been doing since they've had the brand split and moving people around. They recently did kind of move some people around, but they may, do that again. And, who knows where people end up and who'll be feuding with who, but eventually
it all depends
that
on
might
who
be.
pays Vince McMahon more, which network gives him more money for who they want.
We haven't seen Brock Lesnar. We haven't seen Brock Lesnar for a while either. So,
and that's fine. I mean, that's okay.
Coming back.
Okay, I wanted to see. We don't need to see Brock Lesnar.
Well, some people
build up other people. Put Big E in the main event.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Let Kofi go back to a main event. I mean, they have people who are main event potential, or have carried a main event before.
Yeah.
You have Edge back. I'd much rather see the thing with Brock, though, is just he has name value outside the wrestling community.
Right.
And so it's like, as a wrestling fan, we're not normal. We'd rather see Edge in the match than Brock Lesnar. But to a person who's like, oh man, WWE's coming to town. Oh, Brock Lesnar, I've heard of him. I'll go see them,
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about main event real quick here too. I wanted to throw in this topic. So we know that, WWE uses a lot of camera shaking, different camera angles to carry off their different things. So it was Lance Storm, who was a former WWE producer, that actually put out on social media that he had to turn off the main event of WrestleMania due to the camera movement. So I've noticed that the camera movement has been a little bit more than it usually is. And I don't know if that's because we are in the Thunderdome and there's not fans present, and we're kind of, I don't know, maybe taking it a little bit easier so people don't get hurt. Jimmy, what are your thoughts?
Main event, yeah. There was one point where it was like not even a half a second. It was like Reigns, Edge, Daniel Bryan, Reigns. Edge. I mean, just every single boom, 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 and it was awful. Like, I'm with him, and I hate that whole time where everyone goes to like body slam someone and they go boom, and right as they go boom, the camera switches, to kind of hide that it's not a real impact match or hit. I agree. Like, I'd much rather have a steady cam and more just a hard cam facing the whole ring. But that's me. I agree with Lance Storm because it was ridiculous. Like, I don't know if they were trying something new. Monday, maybe they were trying to do a new look or feel. Have more
I think they've been going that way for a while. It seems like it's been increasingly getting more like, here, boom, switch to the boom, and probably maybe they're taking little pauses and stuff. Who knows? Like, maybe they are trying to
at WrestleMania though, we did have fans. Like I had mentioned, I agree with Dev Chef here that I think that this has been going on for a while, the camera shaking and everything, and it's been kind of getting more pronounced.
We've been talking about it for a couple of years, her and
Well,
I.
It's almost like those found footage films that were so big a while ago. Everything was like Cloverfield and Paranormal Activity, and it was all real footage. Like it's almost like they're trying
Blair Witch Project. That's where that all started.
Right. But it's like they're trying to do that, but it really just comes across as annoying. We want to see a professionally shot show, you know.
Yeah.
I agree. I totally agree.
I'm very critical today. Like, I don't know what it was. Maybe because I actually watched all these for the first time, but I was all like, "Ugh, why are they doing this? Why are they doing this? Why are the Young Bucks heel? Like, it makes no sense. Like, they're not built to be heels. You know what I mean? Like, they're not.
They're not.
Like, and it's almost like and I'm not saying this because of their size, but it's almost like they're trying too hard to be a big, bad, tough guy. Like that, some people just aren't meant to be. Not everyone is Jericho, can jump from heel to face like that and be successful. I mean, Kofi, even when he was a heel, when the New Day were heel, everyone still loved Kofi. He will never be like, he will never be.
We've talked about this multiple times about people who are good heels and should always be heels or horrible heels.
About it from multiple times from multiple camera angles.
Right now we are. I think just a horrible heels episode of Are We Over is coming. We're gonna do one all on horrible heels.
Yeah,
that could turn into its whole thing, for real.
It's rare that, you know, let's take the Miz for example. Okay,
best heel.
I love the Miz. He cannot be a babyface. Like, he's too good. Morrison is terrible as a heel. Miz does all the heel talk. Morrison does nothing. They're gonna split him up. They're gonna split them up. And Morrison's gonna be the face because Morrison can't be a heel.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, let's save this for another episode. I know you wanted to bring up Bad Bunny and why they're not utilizing him.
I don't know. Maybe if that's what the contract said for, maybe they didn't expect it to be as good as it was. But good night. You know what you do? Do you know what you do the Raw after Mania? Bad Bunny should be the first person out because there is no one on the planet who got more positive press than Bad Bunny did from WrestleMania. Right. And you don't send them off in the sunset. You say, "Here's another $500,000."
You got to give Morrison a lot of credit for carrying that. That was not Miz that carried that match with him. It was Morrison.
Yeah,
he took that flipping bump and made that happen.
Well, no one probably could have pulled it off but Morrison. Morrison's the only one that, him and Kofi probably the only two that could pull that move off from carrying it standpoint, you know.
Yeah.
But that's what I don't understand. If I'm the WWE, I say, "Whoa, here's Bunny,
$30,000. You want to stay around for a couple days?
$30,000. Please show up tomorrow night. Come out first thing, because no one got a bigger pop. No, I mean, fans have been there. Let me tell you what, if fans have been in attendance at Raw after Mania and Bad Bunny was the first person out, it would have been one of the biggest pops in history. Fans respect him now, and that's hard to get when he walked out of Mania. I'm cutting a promo right now. He walked out of Mania more respected than Apollo Crews did.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
over.
Yeah.
Are we over? I got a hand sign for it. Are we over? And he is over.
I'm telling you,
over.
Like, it makes no sense. Now you can't do it. He can't come back a week from now. Now it has to be like 6 months to a year to let everyone forget about it, and then it'll come back. But man,
shows up at the Royal Rumble, contestant number 29. Right.
I just got chills right
That's
now.
What I'm talking about.
Bad Bunny comes out at the Rumble. People would go bananas.
Nuts. There you go. Well, let's let that happen. Put that out there.
All right. Well, I want to wrap up with our what we thought was maybe the best match of this week in wrestling. So I know, Jimmy, you watched a lot of the shows this week. I know Corey didn't watch as many, but
Does it have to be show or just the best moment we thought of the week?
The best moment, the best match.
Okay, well, the best moment of the week was definitely, just Cesaro getting the chance to stand in the ring face to face across from Reigns, even getting that little rub off of him saying, I'm coming in to challenge you. Yeah, it didn't be what we wanted, but just the fact that we got the visual of Cesaro, like I'm emotional. I'm excited. This is what wrestling does. To see Cesaro even get to stand face to face with Roman and be acknowledged, that was the highlight of the week for me.
Yep. Def Chef?
I'm going to lean towards something that we'll probably bring up in another episode real soon. Wink, wink, get that plug in. I think the Broken Skull session was my thing that happened during the week that I was really impressed with. I'm not going to say everything. We're just going to leave it at that. And that's going to be something we talk about together as a group here very soon, I'm sure.
Okay. Well, I felt like, AEW, I felt was a good show this week. And this wasn't necessarily like a huge moment, but I'm really excited to see Chris Statlander come back. I've missed her in the women's division. And she is back as part
of. We have an ice cream truck coming right outside our door right now.
Oh, you got the Ding Ding Man down there already? It's going to snow here tomorrow.
So anyway, Chris Statlander's back, and I'm looking forward to her getting in the mix with the women's and doing more there. So
and I feel bad, and I just want to be like, who?
Oh, well, she's been gone. She had an injury. She had a knee surgery, and so she's been gone for a while. She's an alien from the Andromeda galaxy, and she does.
Wait! I can't tell if that's. I can't tell if that's. I can't tell you if that's sarcasm or if that's really what
it's real.
That's her thing. Yeah, that's really.
He goes around and boops people on the nose, like boop. That's her thing. But she's a great wrestler, and I really, I was excited to see her back.
Elliot.
So, on that note, thank you for watching our show today. We will be doing these kind of weekly wrap-ups of things every week. And please, if you have not subscribed to the channel yet, please do so that you can see our wonderful banter on a regular basis. And if you want to get notifications of when we have new episodes, then hit that bell. Also, you can see us on Twitter at Are We Over One? So that is where I post things on there. I've been getting into some interesting conversations with people on Twitter. So follow us.
Are you booping their noses?
No, I haven't done any booping, but I did.
We forgot to mention. Give Drew Lack more time.
Okay, we got that in. So anyway, for the Phenom, Jimmy the Penguin, and the Deaf Chef, I'm Kim Sparkles. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you on the next episode.